All right, this is Jack Nix. We're in Fallbrook, California, and he's going to tell us a story about where he got this football from back in 1953. Go ahead, Jack.
Well, Celia and I were in Quantico, Virginia, and I just recovered from the football injury that ruined my knee. But as a young lieutenant, we did our 3-day war to graduate from training and so forth. And one of the guys told me that the General Cates wanted to talk to me. And here I was in my dirty utilities after crawling through the mud and all. And so I went immediately to the General's office, and I couldn't imagine what it was. I went in, stood at attention. Lieutenant Nix reporting, sir. He said, sit down, Lieutenant. Mm-hmm. Now this is General Cates, who was the former commandant of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And then after that, they made him, that's a secondary responsibility, head of the Quantico base. Mm-hmm. And so sat down and he said, I understand you used to play football. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you know, I'm going way back on that. I got hurt playing football, and then when I recovered from that, it took me 7 months to get over that. There wasn't much for me to do, but there was a war in Korea, so they sent me out to Camp Pendleton. But Celia and I were sure that I wouldn't go to combat because I only had 7 more months to go in the Marines for active duty. So I was a little disappointed. I was doing some menial kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And one day the 30-year master sergeant came in and he said, Lieutenant, this was Monday morning, mm-hmm. Lieutenant, we're on our way to Korea. And I was a little surprised, you know, and Celia had been so happy that I didn't go. And I said, well, Sarge, no disrespect, I don't think you should hear before I do, but I don't think I should hear after you. He said, oh, Lieutenant, he said, on Sunday my wife played bridge with the General's wife, and he said, she told my wife, and my wife told me, and I'm telling you, we're on our way to Korea. Now, the war was still on, and well, I was quite shocked. I waited for about 4 days before I told Celia. Took her to a movie, saw the movie Shane, and after the movie, I told her, but I said, guess what, honey? She said, what? I said, they just signed the ceasefire yesterday, Sunday, and so the war is stopping. And she said, well, you know, she wanted to know why I was going and all that. But anyway, that was it. And but when I got over to Japan, we got as far as Japan, and then they were holding us there for any kind of trouble in Korea, then we'd go over. So I did a lot of counterintelligence work, which was nothing, trying to fight the communists that were in Japan. But it was football season, and there were Marine football teams, there are Army, Navy, Air Force teams all over Japan and so forth. And the Camp Drake Marines in Tokyo and the Air Force, the parachutists were the best team. They were just beating everybody. And the Marine team had been beaten every game. They lost every game. And the general called me and he said, Lieutenant, he said, no Marine team should be this bad. And I know you were in football, so I want you to be the head coach and turn this team around. Okay. And I was smart enough to say, well, if the general will see that, just make sure that I get everything I need, I'll do it. He called his adjutant and he said, you give the lieutenant anything he needs to make that team a football team. Well, I knew where all the good football players were, guys from college, and Notre Dame and all that. So I called them all in, and we started practicing. We had 1 week of practice, and then we played the team that I had officiated a few games, and I knew this Itami, ITAMI team, and our team played them, and they had lost to them two or three games earlier. We came in, we skunked them. So from then on, every team we played, we beat them.
Yeah.
And then finally they had the playoffs, and they had there were four teams that were going to play 2 in one game and 2 in another game, and we ended up playing the Army team, which was the best team in the Far East from West Point, and we beat them in the Sukiyaki Bowl, which was the runner-up bowl. I mean, which was the semifinal bowl. We beat them 51-6.
Or 52.
And I cleared the bench. Every player got to play. They scored against our third string players, and it was a long run for a touchdown. And the guys were so sorry they had let the rest of the team down. They blocked the conversion, so it was 51-6.
Right,
well,
fantastic.
from then on, we played in the Rice Bowl on January 1st. Had the biggest crowd for football that they'd had in Tokyo, and we beat the Air Force that had won the other team. We beat the Air Force 19-7.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And that's
I'm sure the general was really happy.
the general. I found out later the general bet. Oh, he loved to bet money, and so we gave him a little scare there when they were ahead of us 7-0 at halftime, and then we won 19-7.
All right, thanks, Jack.
Yeah,
All right, well, congratulations on a great career in football.
it was fun.
All right.